Hi there, my name is Brooks with Character Design Forge. On screen is an illustration of Porter, the final illustration in the daily illustration series I was doing of characters from the game Animal Crossing in the month of January. I wanted to talk about what things I learned from doing this series, what things I thought went well, and what things I think I could have done better. Now, first of all, why Animal Crossing? And why fan art? Well, I definitely love the game Animal Crossing, and I wanted an opportunity to render characters, or realize them, without needing to make design decisions about them. And that's why I haven't reimagined Animal Crossing characters here, or put any unique twist on them. Because as soon as you're making decisions about a design, that's what you start doing. It goes into a different set of disciplines, and I wanted an opportunity to be free of that. I'll be talking about this more in upcoming videos, but character design is a lot of different things altogether, a lot of disciplines that you have to develop in order to have a well-rounded skill set. Now with this project, I was working on a few of those things, like rendering, and giving the others a break. Now, first of all, regarding the illustrations themselves, the rendering style that I went about using, this was a big effort on my part to really get familiar with the vector toolset in Photoshop. And so these characters are actually built up completely of vector shapes for the most part, and then rendered with raster layers over top of that. This was something for me, coming from a background mainly relying on line art illustrations, and usually feeling frustrated with line art because of the amount of trial and error that you have to do to get just the right line. It was really great to work specifically with shapes in this instance. After doing this, I feel more adept with the pen tool in Photoshop, even though there are still some, definitely some inconsistent things with learning it. This is a program that I've used for at least 10 years on almost a daily basis, and there's still things that are pretty obtuse when it comes to using the tools, especially the ones that have to do with vector objects or line and path tools. One thing that I was keen to incorporate into these illustrations is rim lighting, which specifically when it comes to shading, rim light is always the light that's coming from behind a subject, even if it's just in a subtle way. This was something I was mainly exposed to when I was working at a small animation studio a few years back. Everyone was wearing a lot of different hats, and so I would help out with lighting every once in a while. And I found how important it is to have some light that's coming from behind a subject, and it really helps to define that surface, and it also softens the edges a lot. You can achieve a rim lighting effect by using either the main light color or a lighter color, even white, on the edge of your subject. Now, as far as the schedule of 31 illustrations in 31 days, I was definitely happy with how I managed that. I've definitely done daily projects before. Most times I've either missed a day, or there was a few days where I did a really shoddy job on something that I really regret. And that actually wasn't really the case here. I was pretty happy with most of these illustrations and how they turned out. The only close call I had, I was actually a few illustrations ahead, and we had a family trip planned. And this was the time span where I was doing Brewster, Digby, Pascal, Lloyd the Gyroid, and I actually ended up doing all of those in one sitting. Now, I was staying on top of the project, and I didn't know that we were actually going to be gone an extra 2 days than I had originally thought. And that was completely my fault, but in the context of putting something up daily, it was definitely a big deal. So from Wednesday night, probably 7 p.m. to 4 a.m., I knocked out Brewster, Pascal, and Digby, and then I woke up about an hour and a half later and finished Lloyd in time for us to leave. But that was the only really crazy experience with this series, and I think it worked out pretty well. Pascal I actually wasn't tremendously happy with, but he matched the quality of most of the illustrations. What ended up being a surprising challenge from a character design standpoint, but not necessarily an artistic standpoint, was the quotes that went with each character, which was a really important storytelling element, especially in conveying the personality of the character to someone that wasn't familiar with the game. And what I found was, even if the quote takes a few seconds to write, and the art takes a few hours, the quote can be just as important. Some of the characters, like Pelly, the mail clerk, just really have no personality in the game outside of something like, "How can I help you?" or something expository. The style of these characters are all pretty similar, with large heads and similar bodies, so I'm really itching to get back into some more dynamic and anatomy-heavy drawing in my next projects. These illustrations are all done now. You can see the full series either on brooksegggleston.com/work or on my Instagram or Dribbble pages. I also did a run of mini prints of all of the characters all together, which I'm really happy with how those turned out. Head over to brooksegggleston.com/shop to see those. My wife Tay actually had a really great idea for these prints to photograph them in the wild or in their natural habitat, and we had a lot of fun with those photos too. In the coming month, my next personal project is going to be based on the Character Design Subversion Challenge, which is something that I'm initiating this month, and I'm going to be specifically focusing on the archetype of the Archer. For more information on that challenge, and to find out how you can participate, head back and see the previous video on this channel, which is the Character Design Subversion Challenge. That's it for me today. I'm making new videos every week at Character Design Forge. Subscribing on YouTube lets you know when new videos are made available. Thank you for watching, and have fun creating.